Hey guys, it's Charlie here. Alright, I was going to do a top 10 before, but long story short, I'm still going to do it. It's just I need to get some stuff fixed up. So, in the meantime, I'm going to give you guys a quick little countdown to give you guys something to think about. Alright, let's talk about Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, you know the show about alien fighters who get super strong after getting the tar beat out of them. Yeah, it's cliche as heck, but I like it. Now, one thing that was really cool, and I'm not going to mention that particular movie, is that Dragon Ball Z had a plethora of movies. 13, in fact, not counting that special. And again, I will mention that movie. Anyhow, rather than doing a top 10, because that really would be kind of awkward, and it's kind of hard to do with something like this, or a top 15, I'm just going to simplify it and make things easy. I'm going to do a top 5 best Dragon Ball Z movies. Now, with that said, 3 qualifying factors have to be met. 1, I'm not counting the TV specials, Bardock, the father of Goku, or the history of Trunks. Nor am I going to count anything live action. It has to be a cartoon movie. Finally, the third rule on this list is that only one movie per thing. I can't have one movie and then its sequel. With that said, let's take a look at C Advance's top 5 Dragon Ball Z movies. Number 5. Dragon Ball Z Movie 3, The Tree of Might. Now, this movie is actually a pretty decent film on its own, but the thing that really kind of seals the deal for this film, for me, is the film's original score. Now, Funimation did an adequate score, and Pioneer just kind of borrowed the original audio, but for the original Japanese, this score is fantastic. I love this score. I watch it every time I watch the film. And if you are looking for this film, look for either the original Pioneer dub or the dual audio mode available in the tin, because the score is just beautiful. Also, the plot's pretty good, involving Bizarro Goku. Number 4. Cooler's Revenge. You know, when you look at Frieza and King Cold, you kind of see these people and you think, they are so gay. I mean, literally, Frieza is voiced by an old woman in the original dub. No offense. Anyhow, when you see Cooler, Frieza's brother, who's actually a little bit more calculative than even Frieza himself, you see Cooler and you think, this dude is even cool, no pun intended, this guy's even cooler than Frieza. With that said, this movie is one of the very few Dragon Ball Z movies with a dub that I have real trouble watching in dual audio mode, because I want to go and watch the original dub of this, because it uses a lot of bands that are from the US, and it actually is pretty good when you hear the original dub. Now, also the one thing that's kind of neat is Cooler is one of the very few Dragon Ball Z movie villains that actually got anything past one movie. Followed by Garlic Jr., who got his own season, little arc in Dragon Ball Z. And then, of course, someone we'll mention later because he is on the list. Number 3. Wrath of the Dragon. Considering this was the last Dragon Ball Z movie ever made, this actually is pretty decent. You had a pretty scary villain, you had a cool character that was introduced in this movie, and to top it all off, there is a reason why it's called Wrath of the Dragon. Alright, I gotta be honest with you guys. If I say anything more about this film other than what I've already said, it's gonna spoil it for you, so I'll just say there's some cool friendship between the new
character that's introduced, and Trunks, and there is a twist that kind of hints towards something cool.
Number 2. Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan.
Yep, it wouldn't be a Dragon Ball Z movie countdown without Broly.
But Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan, is pretty good. Not just in the dub, but also in the sub. First of all, the voice of Broly, which I forgot to mention before, is Vic Mignogna. If you've never heard of him, well, let me put it this way. He doesn't like being called short. Anyhow, it's ironic that character that he plays on that show is always complaining about being short, when here, he's a tank. Also, the dub has, like Cooler's Revenge, has a pretty nice soundtrack, including all kinds of stuff from like rock and metal type music. Not to mention, literally, it's everyone versus Broly at one point, and they can't even beat him. Broly is just that bad. And of course, there is this whole backstory about why. But I gotta be honest with you, that's the weakest point of the movie. Other than that, it's a pretty awesome movie, and it's pretty cool. And finally, the number 1 best Dragon Ball Z movie ever is Fusion Reborn. Yes, Fusion Reborn. Why Fusion Reborn? Because it's got good amounts of comedy and action. There's got fusion all over the place. The villain's actually pretty scary for what he is. And to top it all off, this is just plain fun. I mean, literally one of the best, and this may cause a little bit of problems for people who have young kids in here, but I just gotta mention this. Hitler appears in the movie, even though they call him on the Funimation dub, he's known as the Dictator. It's Hitler who shows up and gets beaten by 2 Super Saiyan kids. And not just Hitler, but his whole army is beaten by 2 Saiyan kids. That's sad. But, the movie's pretty good. They did say something about it having a little bit of CG incorporated into it. I can kind of hint at it. I'm not really sure. But it's still a pretty good movie nonetheless. And unlike the other films where I have problems with watching it dub or sub, this one is actually adequate. With that said, it's still a pretty good film. It was one of the very few Dragon Ball Z movies that ever got a theatrical release here in the States. Well, I think it was the only film that got released theatrically in the States. And yeah, I mean, it is a good movie. Well, I hope that was enough to get your C-Advance tasters wet. Yeah, it just sounded weird just saying that. So, with that said, I will spoil what my top 10 is going to be about. It is going to be another anime top 10. Well, when I say that, I mean it's the first anime top 10. It's not. In fact, we're probably not even going to mention Dragon Ball Z again at all, unless I do reviews for DBZ Kai or something. And yes, I am ranting. So, with that said, I am out of here. Bye.